So Aline, we are discussing some of the characteristics of our Brazilian students, and especially I want to know your opinion about what are the main expectations of our students when they enter the university.
They want to learn, and they are really worried on how they will be able to show for themselves and for their faculty and teachers if they have learned or not. So they really need feedback. They need to know if once they did an activity, have they done it well? Should they do it in another way? Can we help in something? So if they are only listening, they may feel they have learned, but once they are really working, I haven't learned it at all. So they have to receive feedback because they need to understand what they have learned until that moment and how they can improve. We are trying to encourage them to establish a growing set of mindset, and it's not an easy job because we have lots of students that are on a fixed mindset. So when they are trying to do something, they feel they can't learn, they feel that they can't improve, and we have to help them. It's really a characteristic that is from our Brazilian students. So we have to help them, we have to guide them through learning.
And what kind of strategies do you think that's is going to work to encourage our students to be more active during their classes?
Usually our teachers are trying to build a really safe space, so students feel that they can have an error or they can commit some mistakes in classroom, and because if the teacher is so far away from him, he's afraid to be seen as someone who can do something. So we have to build a safe space so they can try and they can learn and they can receive feedback and guidance. And we have been using lots of strategies, and team-based learning and case-based students, problem-based learning and peer instruction and project-based learning. They want to try in a safe environment, so once they are outside they can really do well.
And in a way, what do you think is the biggest challenge? Because American Academy is set up like intensive courses.
Yes.
So we have the whole courses delivered in 3 weeks modules. So what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for the teachers and also for the students to be engaged in a course that is set like that?
As Brazilians, we are really active people, so it's easy for us to get bored. So we have to do a different thing one day, and in the afternoon should be another thing. Because if they are doing only the same thing, it's really easy, and I feel that as a teacher myself, that if I try to do the same strategy 2 weeks, they don't like it. So they easily take board. So if you are saying me that they have to be with the same faculty for 3 weeks,
every day
we have to change and try new things and make them talk, make them do some things, or they will easily get bored.
And I think that maybe also if you have a short time, you need to be very fast in your feedback, because the students have only 3 weeks to reach those learning outcomes.
So you need to set up a lot of different tasks, so the students have feedback from different tasks whenever they
and we can plan it to space some of the learning, so something that they have talk about in the first day, they can have another time to talk it again in 3 days. And it helps them to build and to feel that they can learn, and once they receive the feedback and they understand where they are, we get them motivated to learn and engaged.
And what is your thought about Because sometimes people feel that Brazilians, especially students, our environment is more informal, and sometimes we lack the discipline of the students. Do you think is there any is there any good strategies to engage the students in these activities that you are proposing?
The first thing we have to do is to guide them, because I have had problems myself when I have built a really great strategy, but if I haven't explained all the things I wanted them to do before we were doing that, sometimes the thing just didn't develop and students didn't learn. So we have to explain to them. And if during the process we understand that it got some misconception or something went wrong, we have to stop and then guide them again. One thing I have trying to do myself is when I was starting in this process, that was the errors I used to commit. This was the mistakes I used to commit. So they feel that I'm not that I'm not a perfect person, and then they can learn from me as well, because sometimes they think, oh, it's impossible to be that person because my teacher is perfect, and they have to understand that we are human, so it's easier for them.
In a way to connect with them.
Yes.
And I think it's also very important to let clear why this activity is important, because if the student feels that the activity is too easy, or it's not going to take him anywhere, or it's too hard for him at that moment, he's going to drop it.
Yeah, you can tell them the learning outcome we're expecting now is this one.
Yes.
and they then get, well, I got there. No, I haven't, so I'll have to study at home and see something else.
Cynthia, we have a teaching and learning center here, we call it Creare. How do you think the Creare can help our students and even the American Academy faculty that are coming to help them to succeed in this project?
Well, we have lots of workshops that we can deliver to the teachers and to the students also. And we can also schedule some private sessions to help the teacher with ideas about strategies. And here we have lots of initiatives about faculty development. We work based on learning outcomes in our teaching plans, because we believe that if only the student can learn by himself, and he has to be active in order to reach those learning outcomes. So we use lots of active learning strategies that we've learned from many people from abroad, including Eric Mazur and William Elliott that helped us with case studies, Bennett Goldberg, some people from Canada like Alenush Saroyan, Anastasios Kozanitis, Diane Bateman. So our faculty members here, they have lots of faculty development strategies available, and we can offer that.
And do you think this kind of activities that the Creare had built in the past and is building it right now kind of built a different culture that kind of built up the expectation from the students that if they are not exposed to these techniques, they're going to be frustrated or not?
Yes, it can happen because it's a huge movement. So all freshmen coming to PUC now, they are facing these different strategies, and some of our classrooms are already different, so they expect to find something different from their schools.
And when they talk with us, it's very interesting because they say, I have a friend that is studying in another university and he's studying another way. And so they expect it. They see us as a different structure, a different culture.
And do you have any tips to give to the faculty members that are coming to Brazil to teach in American Academy?
Tips.
Yeah.
Our Brazilian likes to feel as they are welcome. So we have to build a safe environment. You don't have to be a clown class, but sometimes if you get to know your student and talk to them, it will be easier. And we really need feedback. Our students feel lost if they don't receive, so I don't know how it is in other places, but here if they are doing something and there is nobody explain to them, oh, go this way or go that way, or maybe making a question,
They need more guidance.
they need more guidance.
Yeah, sometimes doing any kind of emotional connection with the students is helpful, and even very simple things like oh, yesterday I've been to the supermarket and I found this or that. Something that you tell about your life, not your personal life, but something that shows that you are the same as your students. Like Aline said before, you are not a superhero, unreachable person. This is important. I think this may be more important than the active learning strategies you use.
Another thing that is really nice to do is to make our students make their own examples. So sometimes when I'm in classroom and I feel that my students didn't understand something, I make a question and say, can someone give me an example of something that can explain what I just said? And they come up with really great examples that sometimes are better than ours, and it is easier for them to understand.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.